Hello folks, Dave here from Getting On. So for the next few days I'm going to be working on this bike, fitting a Denali and Lonerider MotoLights solution. So let me show you the bike and have a quick walk around of what's being fitted. So here is the bike. It is a 2024 BMW R1300 GS. It's got some nice options already on it from factory. And here is what I will be fitting to the bike. So starting off with the motor lights and the mounting accessories. To mount the lights, the hex easy count controller and a selection of various cables and adapters and extenders and bridges and so on. I'm also fitting a Denali V6 to the rear. I'll be fitting the Denali sound bomb split. There's its mount, there's the cable kit for it, some additional cables and the adapter cable to go from the EasyCan to the B6. So this will take me a few days to fit. I'll be stripping the bike down and I'll make some additional videos as we go. Taking off the pillion seat and the rider seat. This bike is equipped with the heated seat options, so unplug the cables. This was actually tie strapped in place onto the clip that's on the seat. So I'll put the little tie strap off. A little bit more room in here than on the 1250 GS or 1250 GSA. So make it a little bit easier to locate the hex EasyCan controller. To get access to under the front of the bike, I need to take these panels off. So we've got a screw here. It's then held in by a pop joint. Another pop joint here. And then there is 3 pop joints here. To ensure I don't damage the paint, I'm going to take this winglet off. And then once I have the winglet off, I can pop this panel. And then I can remove that panel. So the screw here is standard length without a collar. Leave it there for safekeeping, and then I'll pop this panel. Before I do, I will take off these 2 screws, take off the winglet, and then pop out the beak. Okay, so the little winglet screws, I've taken them out and just moved the winglet up out of the way. Pop the panel. You can see that there's 3 of the pop joints here, and then the screw I need to remove is here, so I can take this side panel off. So far what I'm doing, I'm putting the screws back in their original location. What I am noticing that differs from the 1250 is these screws are all the same so far. So they are the short, no collar, with the exception of these 2 which are long, no collar. Okay, so a pop joint here, 2 pop joints up top, and then the 3 pop joints stay on this panel to hold the beak. So that is the side panel off the tank left hand. So also on the side panel there's 2 additional poppers down here, and they come out quite easily. So on the side panel you've got this heavy industrial velcro, 1 part on the tank plastics and 1 part on the side panel itself, just obviously for additional. We'll repeat the same on the other side of the bike. Remove this screw, pop the panel, take off the winglet to give me clearance in here so I don't damage any paintwork, and then pop this side. Okay, so the same happened on the other side. The fact that it's happening here, I'm just going to document it. This screw screws into this component. This component should stay on the bike. So inside, this is threaded on the outside and then threaded on the inside for this screw. So the same happened over the other side. I just put the vice grips on this once it was out and undone the screw, and then just screwed this back in. But that shouldn't be coming out. Okay, so to avoid any damage to the paintwork of the bike, I've put a cloth down, microfiber cloth down, and I have clamped the vice grips onto the brass component here very lightly to ensure I'm not damaging those threads, and then I will remove this screw. So There's the brass component I was telling you about. It's threaded, coarse thread on the outside, and then a fine thread on the inside. So I'll put the screw back in, and then you tighten it all the way down, and then tighten the screw into place, leaving the brass component inside the plastics on the bike where it should be. So I've screwed the brass component up to the very top of the stainless screw here, and it has to go back into this hole here. So just put it in, let it find its way, and then screw it down into place all the way. Once it's down all the way, I will reverse out the stainless steel screw, leaving the brass component in the bodywork of the bike itself. Okay, so I used the screw to reseat the brass component, and I'm now reversing out the stainless steel screw, leaving the brass component in place where it should be. Okay, so that should be sitting like so, which it is on the other side as well. So I'm just going to leave the screw in place, because these are the only two different screws that I have identified so far. Everything so far, it has no collar, with the exception of these two screws, which are longer. So now that I've got the winglet up out of the way, I can pop this panel here and expose the screw that is around here, so I can get this side panel off. So let me do that and show you what's better. Like the left side, it's held in with 3 pop clips, and I now need to undo this screw here so I can get this side panel off. Like the other side, the left side of the bike, this is a short, no collar stainless steel screw. Like the left side of the bike, now that this screw is undone, this panel pops here, around here with double-sided Velcro. There'll be clips here, and then there'll be clips down here. So let me pop this off and show you the tank, and then behind the panel. Okay, the front screw is short, no collar. It's the same with the front 2 screws, they are both short, no collar. So far, any of the screws holding the panels on are all the same, short with no collar. Okay, so the panel is off the bike. Like the other side, it also has this heavy-duty Velcro, just for additional hold. And then there's the first pop joint, the upper 2 pop joints, the lower pop joint, and 2 pop joints at the front. So this is the right-hand side of the bike as you're standing behind it. The next part I want to take off is the main front tank cover. I've got 2 screws here. If you open up the pocket, there are 2 screws here that I can see. A screw here to the side, which connects to this arm, which is part of that. And it's the same on the other side of the bike. A screw here, and that should take off that panel. So let me work on that for the left side of the bike. Short, no collar. I'm going to take out the top 2 screws. The next screw that is holding this top panel on, like the 1250 GS, is down in here behind the handlebars, and it's a larger torque. So let me get a new torque bit and get that screw before I move on to the forward screw here on the top panel. 2 screws here are short, no collar. Screw down here is a torque 30, where everything else so far has been a torque 25. And unlike the rest of the screws so far, this one is quite tight, so you'll need the ratchet to get this one out. In the new GS 1300s, this pocket is larger. Underneath the rubber tray, there is a USB port which means there will be an electrical connection which needs to be unplugged. So let me work that out and show you underneath. So just lifting the panel up and setting it on its side, you can see here the electrical connection as it plugs in. So I'll unplug this and free up the top panel. To get this off the USB port, you have to press down on this lug here at the back of the connection, and that releases the clip. So there is the torque 30 at the front of this panel, and then underneath you've got the electrical connection into the USB port. So the next thing I want to do is remove the rest of the beak, and I've just moved the winglets back in. They're just sitting against their screws on both sides. Now I'll work out there'll be screws underneath here to take the beak off. Okay, to get the beak off, there is a what looks to be a torque, but this is not a torque, this is not a screw, it is a pop rivet and the seam just here. So you pry these down and it'll pop the screw head out of the housing. So let me get that down and show you what it is. So as I said, these are not a torque screw per se, they are a rivet, but what I have found, if you put your torque driver onto it, just loosen it a small bit, it will create a small gap up at the top which will allow you to get the screwdriver in to start pulling the screw down or the rivet down. So I'll pull this out with the pliers, leaving this bit on the bike, or it may pull out with it. Just using a pair of pointed nose pliers, holding on to the screw shaft itself, just pull it down and it'll remove both components. So I'll do the same for the other side. This panel I'm going to take off is this one. So screw here, and then I'll see how these are held in. I'd say these stay on the bike, and behind this I expect to see either pops or additional screws behind here. Screw from here, like everything else so far, is a short no collar. So I'll pop this panel off. It looks to be two panels, and technically it is, because it's got additional pops here, but it popped off in one piece. So there's a pop joint under the tank towards the rear of the bike, and then the rest of it is actually held with Velcro, this heavy industrial Velcro. Obviously the screw here, but took it out at the top, it popped, and then put my fingers down underneath here, and then pop, and it came out as one panel. On to the right side of the bike, if you're standing behind it, right side, and take off this screw, and then pry the panel out. Like the left side, it pops off as one panel. You can see the heavy industrial Velcro at the back here, which is used to hold it in place. So here's the box that the MotoLights are in. I've already taken the plastic covering off and taken the box of accessories out. So this is what you expect when you get it. You get a wiring diagram and how to use them, and then you get two MotoLights themselves. That is a solid piece of kit. And the connection plug on the end is an MTO3 with 3 pins. So positive, negative and data. And unlike the Denali lights, these are data controlled, not data dim. So data is sent down one of these 3 wires to control the functionality of the light. And that's done from the hex EC cam controller. Taking the plastic cover off the lamp itself, and here is the lamp. It is substantial in size, it's very heavy, which is great, really good quality. And I'm looking at the mounting options now. So I've got 2 keyholes here, and I've got a bracket, so I can either mount forward or mount back. And then this bracket here, I will offer it up to this and then see what I'm like height wise. So let me get this bracket mounted to the lamp. I'm going to go in the forward position, which is the one to the back. Keep the light forward, and try a few different combinations so I get the light in the best place possible on these Touratech crash bars. So in the accessory box, which says accessories, you get the following. You get 2 single looms, you get a Y splitter loom, you get 2 of the mounting brackets. I have one of them already offered up to the bike, a little bag of spanners and Allen keys for adjusting the lights, and a selection of rubber strips and 3M sticky tape to get the proper fit around the crash bar so that the light mount is tight. So in this 1300 GSA, it has got the Touratech crash bars, and I've just offered up one of the mounts to see how it fits, and I'm using the thinnest of the rubber mounts just to offer it up to see how it looks. What I'll do is I'll take that off and I'll put on 3M double-sided tape and hold the rubber to the bar clamp itself. Obviously putting that around the inside like so, and then putting the rubber onto that. So let me get one of these offered up and put the light on and see what the positioning is like. This customer has the OEM factory lights, and I did buy the mounts. We're not going to use these now. We're going to mount the Lonerider lights, the MotoLights down lower onto the crash bar so he can maintain the functionality of these lights as well. That's indicator on. Turns off the lights. That's low beam, high beam. Turns off the lights when the indicator's on the other side. Cancelled indicators. Strobe to pass. Horn, the Denali is wired up. Horn by the steer. And the compressor part is here. Good morning folks, Dave here from Getting On. I'm back in the workshop working on the BMW R1300 GS, and this morning I'm fitting the B6 rear light. Just let me show you what I'm doing and how I'm routing the cable through. So I have the B6 fitted to the number plate, offered it up in the front and drew out some stencil marks where I needed to drill, and then proceeded on to dismantling the rear number plate carrier, which in this bike is also the housing for the radar and the number plate light and the carrier for the indicators. So starting off, to be able to get this top part to lift up, you have to undo 2 torques here. I think they're T25 or T30s, and then 2 torque 40s here, and an additional 2 torque 40s there. That just gives you the ability to pop this panel up. And BMW thankfully created a hole here where we can feed up the cable from the back of the B6 in through the hole. And what I've done is I've fed a bit of wire from the inside of the bike through where I could see an opening, and taped up the pigtail part of the B6 light. And this is its opposite end here. So I'll rip these cables tidier once I've got the back reassembled. Easier than I expected this to be. I thought I was going to have to drill, but thank you BMW for that hole. It certainly saved me a bit of work. Thank you very much. So this is the rear radar unit, which also does the blind spot monitoring. So it's important that nothing is in front of this It may obscure or interfere with the signaling going back and forward to this device. So I'm going to tie strap the cable up at the top around the indicator wire, and at the bottom, if I can get in here, I will tie strap it and keep it off to the side and out of the way. Then I can close up this rear section. So 2 little cable ties, zip ties in here, and then turn them out of the way so they're not interfering with anything. Now I'm going to connect all of this back up together. Just lifted this cover out of the way so I can get more access into this area so that I can cable tie the V6 harness to some of the existing wires in here to ensure they don't rub and possibly chafe or pinch up against something I don't need it to pinch up against. So I'll tie strap this in and close it. Thing to note here, see these 2 holes here and here? They have to line up and go over those 2 collars before you can pinch everything back up. 2 bolts go up in here, come out 3 here and hold the bottom of this carrier back up to the bike. So when you're putting this back in, these wider parts, left and right, have to go inside on each side, then slide it forward. So the reverse of taking it apart, so the cover is back in and in place. Now it's a matter of refitting the number plate carrier to the carrier itself, and that's 3 torques, all the same. So far working on this bike, bar a couple of longer bolts or wider bolts, every other torque screw is the same. They're short without collars. Reassembling the rear hanger, rear carrier for the number plate. I'm going to start off with putting the 2 large T40s in first, then I'll put the T30s, and then the T25s back here. So T40s, T30s, T25s. So that's the V6 fitted, and everything locked back up, tightened up. Quite happy with that. Didn't have to drill, which is fantastic. And I've got the cable coming out here, which I'll undo from my fish wire and connect up to the pigtail. Rip the wire nice and tidy out of the way. So I've just completed the install of Lonerider and Denali onto the 2024 BMW R1300 GS. So let me give you a walk around and show you the bike. So this is the 2024 BMW R1300 GS in option 719. Cracking looking bike. I do like the colour. I wish they put the gloss on the adventure model, but they haven't. So let's start at the front. We've got the Lonerider MotoLights, and here we've got the Denali split sun bomb. We've got the other Lonerider MotoLight going round to the rear of the bike. We've got the Denali V6, and I'll show you under the seat where we've got the Hex EasyCam controller and all of the way. So here we've got the Hex EasyCam with the software upgraded to include the Moto Scan or Easy Bus is what it was called. All of the cabling is neatly run down, tie strapped all the way down to the center of the bike. I took the tank partially off, all of the plastics came off, and ran all of the cables and move everything nice strapped into place. Final walk around to the bike. Denali V6 fitted to the rear, running at 10% brightness with 100% on brake. The Denali split sound bomb, that's the compressor unit. Over there is the acoustic horn. We've got a set of Lonerider MotoLights, left and right. Customer has the OEM fobs. Then under the seat you've got the Hex Easy Can Smart controller with the programming for the MotoLights. The customer's also got the copyright, and we're going to talk to the customer about upgrading the dash to the sports dash.